But if it's a conduit, obviously the direction of negotiations are being set by the executive or being set by. So therefore, clearly, then if we use that logic, would you say that this government is anti-labor?
No, well, I think the labor laws have to be restructured. The labor laws have to get into the 21st century. Let's go on with the CPO. The CPO has to report to the ministerial team. That is why I brought the whole concept of industrial democracy. The industrial democracy dictates that, where is the decision made? Where is the decision for all these tens of thousands of workers? Where it is made? It is not made by the CPO. So therefore, if we really have the industrial democracy, the unions are supposed to be able to consult and dialogue in the area where these decisions are made. But the unions are left out of this area. The CPO is just a messenger. How could a CPO, who are acting on behalf of her principles, how could she really relate and report and dialogue with the ministerial team for the workers? Why is it that we don't have a better structure in industrial democracy where the workers and their representatives are able to have decision-making policies with those who make the decision?
Mr. Giuseppe, the state sector is one of the biggest in terms of the wage bill that the government is forced to pay. State sector, public sector enterprises, some question the efficiency and the cost effectiveness of maintaining these structures. Would you not admit that these are inefficient structures and that serious decisions must be made re the manner in which we pay wages?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that. And therefore, let's go back 5 or 6 years ago. I was speaking to our ex-minister. Let's say 6 years ago. We approached the government. We approached the Minister of Finance. We approached the Minister of Public Administration and said, listen, there has to be some other way of workers getting income. And therefore, we must introduce the whole concept and the whole machinery of productivity bargaining. Because when workers are involved in productivity bargaining, they are part of the whole machinery, okay? And therefore, productivity bargaining will ensure that when we start to negotiate under this new concept, okay, we have the traditional collective bargaining dimension, but under productivity bargaining, workers will be able to get extra income, because when your productivity level increases, there are savings, and therefore there is where workers will get that extra income instead of fighting on a 5% or a 10% every 2 and 3 years, which now lasts for 5 years, and they're still fighting on 5%.
Now, looking at, we spoke about the budget, we just have a couple of minutes to wrap this interview. Looking at the industrial relations climate in the country today, can we sustain this environment? Petro-Trin, the energy sector still accounts for 50% of our GDP. Revenues are down as a result, a direct result of industrial action on the plant.
Yeah, but let's look at it seriously. Two-thirds of the labor force in Trinidad and Tobago are getting less than the medium wage. When you look at the wages in different sectors and you get a medium, two-thirds of our workers are getting less than that. This fallacy where they are saying that this wage bill is so big. What percentage of total revenue is put aside for labor? It is somewhere about 11 and 12%. Okay, is that fair? In days gone by, workers used to demand 20 and 22% of revenue, or 22% of revenue. Now it has. The only thing that have shrunk is the percentage of the revenue that workers get. And nobody is speaking about that. People are saying this wage bill is too big, and nobody is saying that they are getting minimum as far as percentage.
We have to go straight to the 7 a.m. newscast. Also, taste will be shown in the short while. Stay with us.
Today's recipe is very, very simple and very effective if you have a little cocktail party and you want to serve something special. It's bacon-wrapped cinnamon plantain. So let's get to it. Take off the top, the tail of the plantain, run your knife down the center, and peel away the skin, which is fairly easy to come away. Now you want to cut the plantain on a slight angle, so you do it like that. Not too thick, not too thin. You want to have some fairly nice slices. So we can wrap it in the bacon. There we go. Now this is very simple exercise. Get your rashers of bacon and just cut them in half. Set them on the side here. We have our cinnamon powder here. But before we put our cinnamon, let's put them directly on the tray. So move our plantain aside so we can work up here. Knife down, don't need that. And I'm going to spread them out on the tray. Now the idea of that is so that I can actually sprinkle them all with cinnamon without having to do them one by one by one. All right, let's get them. And then I'm going to wrap each one in bacon. Just like that, and that. And a toothpick will hold it in place. Okay? So I'm going to do each one of those. The cinnamon just adds that little extra flavor to the already sweet plantain. But you know what? We're also going to sprinkle some salt and sugar, brown sugar, and a bit of black pepper on these so that when they go in the oven, they're going to have that sort of savory, sweet kind of taste to them. And then we pop these into the oven. I would say about 25 minutes again on 350. Keep checking it, because once your bacon has actually started crisping, you see it bubbling underneath and you know that it's finished. You don't want the bacon to get too dry because it'll just get all squiggly and pull itself off of the plantain, and the plantain will be overcooked. So keep an eye on it. I would still say about 20 to 25 minutes, 350 degrees. We just pop this in the oven. So let's get these in. Pop those in the oven. Right, I've just put those in the oven, and here are some that I'd done for you earlier. Get this down here, leftover bits. And we're going to plate this up. So let's get a spoon. These are actually delicious served when you're having drinks in the evening. It's a nice little sweet and salt hors d'oeuvre to have. And the difference of putting the cinnamon in is makes it really very interesting. You can do any sort of variation to this. You can put honey, you can put orange juice. I've chosen to put cinnamon and bacon on it today. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen, your cinnamon plantain, bacon wrapped cinnamon plantain. You can get this recipe in today's Guardian. And this evening, my special guest is Chef Edward Inglefield. Don't miss us this evening at 8 o'clock, CNC3, right here for Taste. See you later.
Moms may not always agree on what to serve their families, but one thing they agree on is when it comes to cheddar cheese for their macaroni pies, cheese dips, or sandwiches for school, nothing compares to Anchor cheddar cheese. Anchor cheddar is made from the milk of New Zealand cows, is hormone-free, and has been making good Caribbean meals great for over 40 years. That's quality that has stood the test of time. With Anchor cheddar, you've got great taste.
Well, that was something sweet if you have a little sweet tooth. And we're ready to wrap up our discussion. Hopefully, Robert Giuseppe will tell us how to sweeten the situation with the labor movement in Trinidad and Tobago.
I will try my best in this any time that we have this morning. As I said, you asked a very good question in terms of what we think how the budget should go. Well, the budget is really public spending. And I think public spending by the new minister should have some aims such as full employment and sustainability. I think is most important, full employment and sustainability. I think the budget should address the public employment in labor intensive programs. And the areas that he should concentrate on for these labor intensive programs is like in education, childcare, community and social services, and especially the ecological maintenance and repair. You know, the ecology is very important, and I think if he addresses these areas seriously, we will ensure that there is the wealth disparity that we are now experiencing will sort of be minimized. We are also looking at a more regulated and coordinated industrial relations system. Of course, this really encourages higher labor productivity, growth, and consensus. And these are the things that they must do, because I know the Ministry of Labor is looking seriously at labor rights and standards, reinforcing labor rights and standards. So I think if these things are addressed really in a critical and serious manner, the industrial relation climate will be easing down, where people will have more say, more information being gathered, more consultation, and then the negotiations will be in an atmosphere of a real good climate to negotiate.
A good climate to negotiate in. I'm Hema Ramkisoon. I'll take a very short break. When we come back, the political leader of the MSJ will be joining us. The PNM is calling for support. The MSJ will not be coming out, or will they? We're going to find out what the labor movement has to say. Also, David Abdullah's thoughts on where we are as a country, governance, budget, what's happening. Stay with us.